We're going to kick this next session off. These are our founder fireside chats. These are people who have created incredible businesses, and we get to actually kind of get behind the curtain, see exactly what they've been doing, and I'm going to make sure that I'm the moderator, so it's going to be fun and good. Sound good, everybody? Can I get a woo? All right, without further ado, please welcome our amazing founder. Well, every time we get to talk to founders, I'm so excited. But first, let's talk about, why don't we introduce ourselves? So we'll start with Michael, and then we'll go over to Haime.
Awesome, great. Thanks, everybody. Great to be here. Michael Cato. I have a company called MAP Consulting, or we have a company called MAP Consulting. The story behind that is I was a client of that company for 15 years as we built our first business out of college, which was an online food delivery business. Built that, acquired a bunch of companies, sold that whole thing to Grubhub about 8 years ago, and then bought the company that I was a client of with the vision of helping other companies do what they did for us.
It's so casual. I think you sold it for like, what, 400 million or something like that?
No, but Grubhub just got sold today again.
I know.
Yeah, and
it's not
quite
bad
a downgrade.
for you. Yeah. You know, buying, selling, millions. My motto is every million helps, you know? That's what I,
every million,
I say. I need like a really wealthy laugh, like,
But every million helps because it compounds.
It's correct.
Which is the same thing in business, which we just talked about.
We did.
Which I want to talk about that in a minute, but let's go to our buddy.
Hi, my name is Haime Nakatch. I'm the founder and CEO of Virtual Latinos, which actually started as a marketing agency. I was following Ryan Dice for quite a while, and it turned
Were you surprised how short he was in person?
Don't say that, Marcus. But yeah, I really had a great time managing the marketing agency, but it pivoted into a recruitment agency. So today we're a recruitment agency. We hire talent from Latin America, all 20 countries, and we help businesses basically grow through great, talented people.
Amazing. Well, the reason why I think these two are so complementary is that they have a very unique perspective, especially around being able to see, one, the executives that MAP and you work with, and the fact that you were a client. And also, you're supporting first of all, Haime, how many employees, what's the size of the company at now? How many businesses are you supporting?
We currently support a little over 750 businesses. We are hiring. We just passed the 1,500 mark in terms of people who work in Latin America for our clients, and our internal team is about to hit 150 people, so a lot of people.
Wow. Nice. And MAP on this side is really interesting because I know that you're in those businesses too at the highest level working with executives. And tell us a little bit about your structure in the company. And I know you've come in now. What are some of the things you brought from, being acquired and your other businesses into MAP, which is what, it was 1960 when that was founded?
Yeah, it's a 66-year-old business right now, so a little bit before that. But listen, MAP, what we do at MAP is a lot of what we've been talking about. It's about accelerating the performance of people. Okay, so you've got the management playbook, how you do all that, but it's also about accelerating the performance of a company. And so people, it's about leadership, training, development, documenting your playbook, getting the brain out of your business, and helping, making sure that they're able to perform as managers. And then the playbook for your business to accelerate that performance is about what we just said. It's about a system for your business. It's about understanding, what to measure in your business. It's about understanding how to make sure that you are executing at a high level. But when you marry those two concepts, people with company, performance on both sides, that's when you get that exponential growth. That's how you get to scale, like we've been talking about.
And same thing for you, Haime. It's interesting because you have a background in scaling. Did you also have this background, or did this?
Not at all.
No, okay.
No, in fact, I knew nothing about recruitment, and I kept it that way. I just knew about marketing, and I used my own marketing skills to build a new business. Instead of helping my clients, I helped myself, and I didn't have any time or chose to do any research for what recruitment looks like. But I'm a very picky guy. I'm a very process-oriented person. Lots of steps. In fact,
welcome home.
This is the reason, and one of the reasons the company has been successful in growing. My SOPs were very specific, very detailed, in fact, too long. But at the beginning, people would just follow. They didn't ask too many questions. And these days, they're like, Haime, they're really too long. We're going to make them shorter. We're going to simplify them. So now we have a combination of both videos and text, and that's been better. But definitely, processes has been one of the reasons that our company has been able to grow.
Do you guys, and this is maybe for you, Mike, but Michael, do you have is anybody that you work with on the executive side apprehensive about SOPs?
I just think the word scares most people. People are like, what, process? I got to document processes? That's what makes Trainual so unique is it's such a simple way to make that happen and to build that playbook. So yeah, I think most companies hate process, okay? And so Like, I know when I went, at MAP, we do this workshop. Last week we trained 33 executives. I went to the workshop 20 years ago. Chris Ronzio went to the workshop as well, probably, nice. I think 8 or 10 years ago. And that was where everything changed for me. Like, I saw the power of having a process to run your business. And that's the difference. So I walked out of there with this like toolkit, and I was just like, so this is what it means to be a CEO. This is what it means to run a business. And that was the most important takeaway from that. And so then you go back to your business and you want to apply it, and it's like, it's really hard sometimes.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And we brought a coach in to help us with some of that stuff. So
yeah. I think it's really hard to slow down to speed up. Like, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to slow down, build a foundation.
We did.
Yeah, but tell us about that process.
Yeah,
I mean,
we were growing a lot just organically, and I am actually sort of, even though I'm an entrepreneur, I'm very risk averse. I actually hate risk. So I basically do what I would say very, very calculated risk, generally speaking. So the company just, looked like it was going to keep growing. And my father specifically is the opposite of me when it comes to growth. He's like always pushing, let's go faster, let's go grow like crazy. And I'm like, no, we got to actually slow down. We're going to stop marketing. We're going to stop doing advertising. We have to actually take a pause and restructure things before we keep moving forward. And it was hard, but it's been useful.
So I want to talk about, I know we have limited time, but I feel like there is one thing that I really want to ask you. Both of you have a very unique perspective. You're sitting in seats that a lot of us don't occupy, meaning that they have a lot of data points on a ton of businesses, entrepreneurs, executives that you both work for and support. I want to know what you're paying attention to. And what I mean by that is there's so much noise. Like, I literally can't go on my phone without being distracted. I also have ADHD, but it is very hard now because we're just inundated with, hey, this is the solution. This is the answer. This is what you need to be like looking at and paying attention to. And it's algorithmically distracting. So when you pull yourself out of that, what are you two paying attention to in terms of the data and some of the trends that you're seeing working with your clients that would be really helpful for a lot of these folks out here? Oh, Jaime's like, go, Michael, please. Like, yeah, go ahead.
So there's a couple things that I see. One of the things I'm going to start at the highest level. I see a lack of strategy in a lot of businesses. I'll walk into a company, or I'll be talking to other entrepreneurs, which I talk to a lot of them, and they don't understand the essence of strategy. A lot of entrepreneurs, when you ask them how many strategies can a company have, they'll say like 3. And I'm like, no. Strategy comes down to one thing. And the goal of strategy is to generate a competitive advantage and to build a company that's remarkable. And it comes down to things like, who's your client, okay, which we've talked about. What value are you providing? What unique capabilities or strengths, as Ryan just said, do we have? And how are you going to market? How are you finding those clients? And it's not binary, and it's not linear. It's like you start looking at all of those, and they start working together, and you start to understand how you can be different, how you can be hard to copy in the marketplace. That's what's going to drive value. When you take that and you combine it with the second thing I see in a lot of businesses, they don't understand where they're going to get their next hire from. They don't understand how to have a pipeline. And I'll tell you what they don't understand. They don't understand what you offer. And I work with a couple of different clients. They both have robust, integrated teams overseas that are just part of their culture. And it happens all the time. Nobody's thinking about it. So those are the two biggest things that I see, and if I add the third thing that I see all the time, it's a lack of a scorecard. It's a lack of measuring the right things in your business so that you can create accountability and make sure people are doing what they say they are doing, and combining that with continuous education. When you get those kind of that flow right, which is the biggest gap that I see when I speak to entrepreneurs, get that right, and you can do what you want to do with your business.
Can I get like a woo for that, please? That's a good one. Oh. Yeah, I know, right? It's like, let's get it. This is operations church. This is what's up right now.
We're not supposed to get goosebumps, are we?
Yeah, we're doing it. You got goosebumps right there? Yeah, okay. You can't give yourself goosebumps, Michael. That's not how that works, but okay. Jaime, same question, because look, 750 different companies and people that you support. I know that I saw you nodding as Michael was going through his, but what's your big kind of visceral comes into your mind about being like, wow, this is some of the stuff that I think everybody in here probably isn't thinking about?
Look, I mean, it's still common today, and it was common when we started. We are, generally speaking, working with smaller businesses. They go from like solopreneurs all the way to, at the highest, maybe 100 people, 200 people. We do have clients with like 1,000 people in terms of employees, but like our average client has somewhere between 3 to 10 people. And the biggest thing we see time and time again when we're talking to them is that they're growing and they're busy, but they don't really have a plan for what to do next. So they come to us, which is great because they know they need people and they need help. But most of the time they think they know what they need, whether they heard it from social media, from somebody, a family member, another colleague, and they just think they know what they need to do, and they don't actually know what they need to do. Not everyone, but many of them. So generally speaking, we see ourselves and our team now as actual consultants. Like we actually need to not only take, let's say, an order, okay, you're trying to hire an executive assistant or a social media person, more like, okay, what do you really need to do? What are you really trying to achieve? And in many cases, they come in asking for A, but we're telling them you actually need B and C. And many people want to hire unicorns. Unicorns don't exist. There's not one person that can do 10 things. So many times we basically bring them down from the clouds and we're like, listen, you can definitely start, but you should start with one person that can do 3 or 5 main tasks, and then you're going to need another person, right? So basically planning is a thing that's usually lacking. And when it comes to that is also one of the key things that we see where people fail, even if they hire people and they're willing to hire someone from us, from anybody, is they don't actually have a training plan in place. They don't really have anything of what they're actually going to do for the first 2 to 4 weeks. So we've been discussing internally, like, can we actually make it a requirement that we will not take on any clients unless they actually show us a actual training plan? Because if they don't have a training plan, we know they're very likely going to fail, right? Wow. So that's something that we're now actually discussing in terms of how can we help our clients get trained for how to be better at their job as actually managing and growing their business.
Amazing. I know there are probably about 1 million companies out here, and probably somebody you're sitting next to that has good content for you, which is exciting. I want to know what people get wrong, Haime. And this is going to come to you in a second. I want to know what people get wrong. Anybody out here thought about outsourcing or hiring overseas, or has anybody tried that before? And yeah, I see a lot of heads nodding. Yeah. Anybody fail at that? It didn't go well for you? Got some PTSD? I see some more heads nodding. What are some of the things that we can help? What are some of the things we should be thinking through before we start navigating outsourcing or any of those kind of ideas?
I'll tell you, I think one of the most important things for us is that when you're thinking about outsourcing, you don't think about just outsourcing to get cheap labor and to get someone to be on some back office in some country with no air conditioning doing some crazy, repetitive task for you. It can be that if you wanted to, but, we see the people that we hire and, the people that we actually provide as talented individuals and professionals to our clients as people that are going to be part of their teams. So we actually make it very clear, listen, you're not going to just hire to save money. That's great too, but we want people to actually integrate these remote professionals into their business, into their teams. And clients who've been successful are those who actually treat those people equally as the rest of their team in the US. Whether that's actually benefits, which we don't actually require anybody to give. It's part of the benefit of actually hiring remotely. You don't have to pay people benefits, but those who do and those who actually treat them as other, let's say, regular employees, gives them paid time off, gives them more perks, those people, in our case in Latin America and probably in other places, they value those little things so much that they create such a great bond and trust with you as a boss or as a company that they're going to be with you for a long time. So that's definitely the number one thing I'd say. To treat people as part of their company obviously means giving them an email address, incorporating them into your meetings, into everything that you do. But another important thing when it comes to hiring people is really think about what it is that you want them to do and actually, have some type of plan for them to actually help you with. Sometimes people are like, okay, I'm going to hire them. They're going to come in and, just like Ryan said, they're going to throw people to the problem. You can't throw people to the problem. You're going to have a process and something behind that.
Amazing. Real quick, though, I know you heard him say, I require people to have a 2-week learning plan. How does that make you feel coming from the fact that I know MAP is literally all about this education piece? What does that make you, what you feel?
I just want to hug him.
Well, we don't require it yet.
We'll look the other way. You guys can go ahead and hug. It's fine.
But I do want to, listen, to add on to what you said, there's 2 big mistakes I see. Number one, companies look at overseas or offshoring talent. They look at it as cost savings versus talent acquisition. This is not about cost savings, even though there probably is. It's about talent acquisition, number one. And the second thing they screw up is they don't onboard them properly. It's a commitment from the culture to making sure that you're going to have the right training in place for these people. Otherwise, it's going to fail. I've tried it and didn't have that happen once, and it failed. So
I think onboarding is probably incredibly overlooked. I know at Trainual, Sasha, her team, Marlo, Tara, they're incredible at that. Put so much effort and energy to what that onboarding process looks like. Give us a few bullet points on how we can be better at onboarding. Give us a few tasks, like things that we can actionably do to increase our onboarding effectiveness.
So one of the things we're actually doing now that we're trying to provide to our clients is actually like a checklist. Because right now, generally speaking, the onboarding is about an hour with our customer success team, and we walk them through, specific software they should use, specific, structures and processes they should follow. But we don't actually have a checklist. Checklists are actually very useful, right? Like first do this, add them to the email in your system, and actually have something that they can actually check off a list would be a very good idea when it comes to onboarding people, because it ensures that everybody's following the same process every time, and people, literally feel like they're completing things as they're getting onboarded too.
All right, I'm gonna stay with you. Virtual Latinos. It's a very specific name, right? I think that the first thing that I think about is I'm like, oh, people are going to be supporting people that are Spanish speakers. But as I dug into your company information, that's like 1%, like the majority of everybody. So tell us like why you picked Virtual Latinos. Why is this important that it is, I believe most of the people that work are from Mexico or they're from other places around the world.
Correct. So I am originally from Mexico City, born and raised. And, the reality is that growing up, I knew while living in Mexico from, around the community that, even if you're going to come from a good family, going to go to school, nice college, you're likely going to get a crappy job because there's not really great opportunities, generally speaking, in Latin America. So now living in the States for a long time and being, part of, that community originally, I knew there's such a lot of talent because I have lots of friends and family living there that, don't have the opportunities to grow and be able to be and become who they want to become. So I'm passionate about really helping people actually reach their dreams. And, it wasn't honestly originally the goal, but today we changed so many people's lives. We keep seeing people in our community buying cars, putting people to school. Like it really changes lives. So we love it. And, in terms of Latinos, the biggest advantage and the reason I started this as opposed to the Philippines where I was working with people from there before is the time zone. There's a huge alignment with the time zone, the culture with the United States. So yeah, definitely want to represent Latinos both inside Latin America as well as, in the US.
Yeah, but I love this. It's a two-sided thing for you.
Yes.
Because people are going to be impacted as the support and the service that you provide, but also seeing that your real mission for Virtual Latinos was to actually give people opportunities. Because I know you also equip them, you teach them. Like these are people that are not just assistants; they're actually coming into businesses as like marketing folks and different positional roles.
Yeah, the goal was actually to just build a company just for virtual marketers. That was the idea because I had a marketing agency, and then people wanted more. But yeah, definitely people are really. It's both sides of the equation. We want to make everybody really successful. So our goal is actually as a company for a 10-year, it's like to improve the lives of 1 million people. So we're definitely, now doing a lot of things to create content, to create resources, to not just get them a job, but actually help them truly change their lives.
Can I get a woo for that? Woo! Michael, same thing, okay? You're obviously extremely wealthy, okay? So why did you want to go back and buy an 80-year-old company, right? What made you want to invest the rest of your time, energy, and effort from, obviously you could go do anything, but like why, what was it about MAP that made you want to come and not only acquire it, but like dive in deep in that executive training space?
Easy answer. I believe that entrepreneurship changes the world. When entrepreneurs start businesses and build them, they hire people. When they hire people, they raise the standard of living in the communities that they exist in. That's the only reason. That's my purpose, that's what I live in, and that's all I want to do. And so that's why I'm doing that.
That's Somebody awesome. Gave you an impromptu woo. Woo! Yeah. All right, so go a little deeper for us because that was a short answer. This is the last question, I'm just kidding. Jerry Springer, final thought for these folks, okay? I need to have just a way to encapsulate our time, but I feel like if you want to give them a charge, let's say that we were all on Zoom and we were slamming our laptop right now, and we got to go do one thing, and this is your charge to go do it from both of your perspectives around what you know about your business and what you know about our audience and the people that are here. Let's get that final charge from each one of you, and we'll start with Haime.
Sure. I mean, the truth is this is something I've told myself, and now we continue to tell clients, and you might have heard from other people, but like no matter what you do, we got to take action. I can tell you that I'm still kind of a perfectionist, but the reality is that this business has pushed me to not be a perfectionist. So when you just make choice, whether it's going to be the right one or the wrong one, just taking action is really the most important thing.
Well, I could have considering that Action's the middle name of our company, I could have
Yeah, what's MAP stand for?
You could have Management Action Program. You could have did that for me. Listen, my charge is always all about get focused. The bottleneck, if I'm talking to the entrepreneur or the CEO, the bottleneck is always at the top. The change starts with us. We've got to make the decision, just like I did 20 years ago when we were building our company, and I was told I was a bad CEO. You know, and that's when I went to the MAP workshop and figured out, well, this is what I need to do. And the change starts with us. But beyond that, that change has to be get the organization focused. Okay, number one. Number two, make sure that there's unbelievable alignment in the organization, just like we talked about yesterday. That's the first thing. And then have a system to hold people accountable. Get your team focused, get them aligned around that focus, and make sure there's accountability in the business, and you will connect vision and reality.
That's good.
And I want to say one more thing. I think that Trainual does do this a lot, and I don't know all the details, but I think investing in your people is really key. If you invest in your people and you pay not only more money necessarily to them or other perks, but pay attention to them and actually care, makes a huge difference. So,
do you know that companies, let's just say you're in a home services business, they will train the person that goes to the house or the person that talks to the customer. They'll train the technicians more than they'll train the actual managers of the business that they promoted. It's a huge gap in the industry right now. Managers don't get trained. You know, that's obviously what we do, but I mean, managers don't get trained. And if you can get there, according to the book that Gallup just came out, Gallup came out with a book, this thing is called It's the Manager. And it talks about how that is the most important position in a business. People don't leave companies, they leave managers.
It's very true.
We're over time already.
That's all right. I just want to tell you one thing. Look, I know that they have teams they could send here and not have to be here, but they decided to come here on their own dime and time to be with us. And you're also going to hang around for a little bit. You're back at the MAP booth and back at the virtual Latino booth. So if you want to talk to them, you want to pick their brains, please do so. And if you got a lot of value from this fireside, please give them a big woo and a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you. And shout out to this guy doing a great job.